Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lesson 5.3. Lesson 5.3 is exactly like Lessons 5.1 and 5.2, but we're just going to add one more step to it. In fact, we're going to call this one Multi-Step Inequalities. So our goal is to be able to say at the end of this lesson that you can solve multi-step inequalities. So this is exactly like solving multi-step equations, except for we have those greater than, less than signs. So the process is exactly how it was when we first learned about this stuff in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. What we are going to do is we're going to undo what's happening to our variable b in this case, and we're going to use that same process of that SAD map, and then we're going to move on. So I don't remember what I was just saying. I just got interrupted, so we're going to be back at it again here. So I need this less than 9 thing here. So we're going to use the SAD map, which means we're going to get rid of adding and subtracting things first. So we're going to get rid of this plus 3 and then get rid of the divided by 2. So we're going to go subtract 3 from both sides. And we're left with a b divided by 2 is less than a 6. And then we're going to undo the divided by 2 by multiplying by 2 using our inverse operations. And we're pretty good at this kind of stuff, I think. So we're left with a b is less than 12. You can put an open circle at 12, shade it to the left. And that's how you do that particular problem. Now the same types of ideas are going to take place for the next question. The only difference with the next question is that we have that whole negative scenario that we learned about from last lesson. So let's throw that in there just as a quick reminder. So we have x over a negative 4 minus 2 is greater than or equal to a 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this minus 2 by adding 2 to both sides, just like we always do. And that gets us left over with an x divided by a negative 4, which is greater than or equal to a 5. We get rid of that divided by a negative 4 by multiplying by a negative 4. And remember from our last lesson that when we multiply or divide by a negative, it ends up making our sign, our inequality, flip. So it's not a greater than or equal to sign anymore. Now it's a less than or equal to. And then we do that math to get our negative 20. So we'd have a closed circle at negative 20 shaded to the left. And that's what these problems look like, folks. So I'm going to get rid of that just so I can have space again. So hopefully you're keeping up with me. Let's do one of these two problems. I'll ask you to do the other one, and then we will check it when we get back to class. So let's do B, and you guys should do A on your own. So I'm going to do B with you, and then you're going to do A on your own. Alright, so we're going to look at this particular problem. It has a 15 is less than or equal to a 5 minus 2 times the quantity of 4m plus 7. So if you remember correctly from previous chapters, our very first job is mostly always, is to distribute. So we're going to distribute this negative 2 to the 4m plus 7, which makes us have a negative 8m, and then a minus, if I could write correctly instead of just talking, minus 14. And then we have a 5 over here still, and the greater than or equal to 15. So just like previous problems, we're going to combine like terms if we can. So this 5 and this negative 14 combine together. So we're left with a negative 8m, and those two make a negative 9. And then we're solving just like we did in examples, the first two examples. So we're going to get rid of that minus 9 by doing plus 9 on both sides. That leaves us with a 24 is less than or equal to a negative 8m. That's an 8. Oof, that is ugly. And then we have a divided by a negative 8 in order to get the m entirely isolated. So if you check it out, we are going to have to switch our signs here because we're dividing by a negative number. So our signs switch, and a 24 divided by a negative 8 makes a negative 3. That's a closed circle at negative 3, and we're again shading to the left because m is less than or equal to a negative 3. Alrighty, I'm going to get rid of stuff here. That was a horrible getting rid of stuff. Don't tell anyone. Our little secret, right? There we go. We got rid of stuff. And we'll do I think we got 3 left here. All right, so same idea with this problem, just more steps. Let's distribute both sides first. Here's my line, so I know what's going on. So we're going to have a 2h plus 12 when I distribute the 2 is greater than, and now I'm going to distribute my negative 3 to get a negative 3 times 8, which is a negative 24, and a negative 3 times a negative h, which is a positive 3 h's. So now we're going to get all of our regular variables on one side and all of our regular numbers on the opposite side. I'm going to move the smaller variable first. So I'm going to move the h's over to the right side because they're smaller on the left. That makes me left over, because this cancels out, because a 2 h's minus 2 h's is 0 h's. I'm now left with a 12 is greater than a negative 24 plus one of these h's. Now I got to get rid of this negative 24, and to get rid of a negative 24 I would add 24. So we're adding 24. I wrote 12 and I said 24. That's kind of weird, don't you think? So we're adding 24, and we get ourselves a nice beautiful 36 is greater than an h. So h is less than a 36. Now that's our official answer. It's really, really nice if you put circles or squares or something around it so we know that what your official answer is, because you are showing all of these steps so that we know what's going on. All right, now there are special circumstances that we need to be aware of. So 18, or this one right here is our first special circumstance. I don't know, we call this example A. So same process takes place like we did before. We're going to distribute on both sides. When we distribute, we're left with on the left side an 18 minus 24 c's and a minus 12 is greater than or equal to a negative 24c and then a plus 6. Over on the left side, I can combine my like terms. A 18 and a negative 12 make a plus 6. So I have a negative 24c plus 6 is greater than or equal to a negative 24 plus 6. Please make that clear in your brain. The entire left side looks exactly the same as the entire right side. This is what we're going to call an all solutions, all real numbers. So all solutions or all real numbers are going to work for this specific problem. And the other type of special circumstance, I bet you can guess what it's going to be. We're going to have the similar type of work. We're going to distribute. We are left with a negative 8m, a minus 20, and then we have a positive 8m greater than or equal to 46. Now we got an issue over here. A negative 8m and a positive 8m make no m's left, so they cancel each other out. So 46 is less than or equal to a negative 20. Well, this just in, folks, that's just plain old not true. So this is an empty set or no solution. They mean the same thing. There's no way that we're going to be able to plug a number into the variable to make that work out, because it's just not going to work. So we're going to call that an empty set or no solutions. All right, folks, this was what the assignment's going to be, these types of problems. Remember, your job is to solve the ones that we didn't solve, which is question A. We're going to check that you have that done when you come back to class. All right, this is the Burma Nation. I am signing off. Peace out, folks.